Welcome to the Hidden Palace with Sky Blaze.
Good morning, afternoon, evening or night, wherever you are in the world. I am Skyblaze and this is the Hidden Palace here on Radio Sega. Thanks to Rexy for a great show and a wonderful lead-in. Running late as usual, but that's okay. I'm on a Sunday this week because I was stolen yesterday to do some recording for a podcast project with some friends in the USA. So I was unfortunately occupied yesterday, but I'm here now, so it's all good. Some of you may remember that last year I took a look at the SEGA System 32 arcade board and some of its games. But today I'm going to take a look at an earlier board, not the SEGA 16, but rather the SEGA System 24. Produced in 1988, this board was more of a side item than a direct successor to the System 16 board. In comparison to the System 16, the System 24 had two Motorola 68000 processors, while the 16 only had one, working alongside a Zilog Z80. If you know anything about early microcomputers of the 80s, the Zilog Z80 was in all of the things. I'm just going to move my microphone a bit closer. So the unique features of the System 24 board include the fact that it had a better monitor with a medium resolution, it had a wider colour palette, and this is the first to load games from a floppy disk, although later games would require ROM boards or even CD-ROMs to load the game, and a special security chip would be required to the board to even attempt to run it. Now, less on the board and more on the game, starting with Hot Rod, which was released in 1988. This game has you up to 3 others driving around 3 stages, with 10 diverse driving scenes in a racing game style not that different from Micro Machines, as you race in a top-down view and have to win the race by obvious means, as well as falling out of view of the camera. Again, quite a lot like Micro Machines if you've played any of those games. Although, if it happens, you will be slingshot closer to the rest of the racers and will lose some fuel as a penalty rather than losing points like in Micro Machines. As you race, you can collect items which will give you either additional points or more fuel, and you'll have to contend with obstacles such as speeding trains, sand, ice, falling rocks, and other weather effects, which will make an effect on your progress and also cause you to lose fuel. Electro Boogaloo is saying that they actually requested a System 32 game because I made a mistake when I put up the original announcement earlier today for this, because I was very tired, and I put down the System 32 instead of 24. So Electro Boogaloo has requested a song from the wrong system, but that's fine. It doesn't really matter that much. It's later on in the show, and it's a great track, so it's fine. Anyway, let's have some music then to start with. So from Hot Rod Arcade, we've got BGM number 3, and then our first request for tonight, requested by Nicholas Haman, we've got Rough Racer Seaside. After the musical break, we'll come back and talk a bit more about the Hot Rod Arcade game. But till then, you can listen to these 2 tracks, and I will speak to you after the music break. And we are back. And that was Rough Racer Seaside, which was requested by Nicholas Haman. And before that we had Hot Rod Arcade BGM number 3. So back to Hot Rod again. Once you've finished a race in Hot Rod, your position will often give you fuel. More importantly, prize money, which can then be used to improve your car, of which you can choose one item per race to improve, and in a limited time which to make your decision before you move on to the next race. Your options include 2 tiers of engines and spoilers, as well as 3 tiers of tyres. The cabinets in this game are of some interest, as you come across the game in either 2, 3 or 4 player models. The 2 and 3 players are pretty much your standard upright cabinets with wheels and a gas pedal. Steering wheel, that is. And the 4 player version, however, sees the 4 positions around a single screen, so you're viewing it as a tabletop instead, which is a pretty cool different thing, since by this point tabletop type game systems were not that common. 3 more bits of information from this game. The music in the shop between races is the same tune as the shops from Fantasy Zone. That same tune is also used in a couple of other games from what I recall. Aside from the arcade, this game came out on the Amiga, Amstrad CPC, Atari ST, Commodore 64 and ZX Spectrum computers, being published by Activision. Though, as far as I can tell, there was never a version on any of the Sega console. And finally, there are turbo versions of this game, but sadly I couldn't find out a great deal about them and if they were home computer ports or just of the arcade cabinets. If you do happen to know that information, please let me know. Rafsig saying that Rough Racer interests me. Is that just because you like the music, or...? It looks pretty cool. It looks nice and colourful, Rough Racer. What was I saying? Lost my script. Wait, let's go. There it is. Electric Boogaloo's posted some videos of Hot Rod's Sega, I think it's the Japanese version of the arcade game, and then another video of the Rough Racer. Electric Boogaloo is saying a Rough Racer is an arcade exclusive. Yes, I know. I was talking about Hot Rod, not Rough Racer. Yeah, Hot Rod does have computer ports. There are turbo versions of it, but I can't find out a great deal about them. I don't know if they were Japanese exclusive or arcade exclusive, if they had home computer versions. I don't know. So if you do happen to have that information, please let me know. Speaking of the computer port, let's have some music. So from Hot Rod C64, we've got the title theme. And then from Fantasy Zone, because it got mentioned, the main theme from Fantasy Zone. Because the shop theme is great, but it's a really, really short loop. So let's have that instead. I'll have the main theme instead. Jamie's saying, good old Sega shop theme. I wish it played when visiting Sega's online shop. That'd be interesting, but a lot of people really hate auto-playing audio. Anybody who visited like Geocities back in the late 90s, yeah, not great. There were like a bunch of tools and stuff specifically to stop auto-playing audio. It was really annoying. Okay, so we'll have the Hot Rod Commodore 64 title version of the title theme, and then Fantasy Zone main theme. Enjoy!
Radio Sega, playing the best Sega music 24/7.
We are back, and that was Fantasy Zone main theme, and before that we had Hot Rod on the Commodore 64 title theme. Electro Boogaloo is saying the Amiga version of Hot Rod had music by the late great Ben Dalglish, who I have mentioned in a previous Chiptune Corner in a previous episode. He had a really nice tribute at when me, Superbike, and Jamie went to the symphonic chiptune thing in Hull. He had a really great dedication there, and a little section that was dedicated to his work, which was really awesome. Anyway, next up we have Scramble Spirits, which is a vertical scrolling shoot 'em up released in 1988 in arcades. Then it got ported onto the Master System in 1989, and finally onto home computers, like the ones that I mentioned previously for Hot Rod, in 1990. At the beginning of the 21st century, according to the story of the game, mankind had waged so much war that the third world countries were in need of rehabilitation to recover from the devastation it had wrought. When suddenly a mysterious enemy begins to attack, and you're called in to investigate and take them down. You and a friend can each pilot a small fighter plane. As you progress, you can collect up to 2 smaller planes that will aid you in combat. These additional planes can be positioned behind you, increasing your firepower in the air, or positioned lower to the ground where they can fire air-to-ground rockets. Along with these skills, you can also send these additional planes on a kamikaze attack, which will cause it to clear the screen of enemies. Although you can reclaim the plane to be used again, but they will show signs of damage. One thing this game manages to take advantage of is the sprite scaling, as partway through the game you can get a bonus stage where your plane... I can't say words. Where your plane will go to a lower altitude, causing your plane to scale in size with the scenery as well. At the end of each mission, your planes return to base, and you can see troops doing silly things such as skipping rope or spelling the word nice with their bodies. That's a cute little touch. It's ridiculous, but it's kind of cute. At the end of the game, you're paraded through cities with people cheering you for saving them from the terrorists. You can also find a statue of you that's been erected with stories of your deeds being passed from generation to generation. It's hard to believe that they would erect a statue of a random pilot, but video games, I guess. Nicholas Amand saying, it's interesting to note how many SEGA System 24 games have music composed by Minoru Aoki. I have to take your word for that one. I've not done any extensive research on who composed the games. But yeah, that's pretty interesting. They just like tied them to a chair and like, you're working on System 24 stuff. Go. And Electric Boogaloo's posted a picture of some gameplay from Scramble Spirits, which is quite nice. So let's have some more music then. Again, since it was released on a whole bunch of home computer consoles, I've got the arcade version and the Commodore 64 version. So we've got Scramble Spirits Arcade BGM number 1, and then from Scramble Spirits C64 we've got music from stages 1, 4 and 6. Hope you enjoy those, and I will speak to you guys again after the break. And that was Scramble Spirits Commodore 64 version, stages 1, 4 and 6. And before that we had Scramble Spirits Arcade BGM number 1. Next up we have Gain Ground, which I have talked about before, but I think I was talking about the Mega Drive version at that particular point. This was released on the arcades in 1988. You play this top-down shooter as one of 20 different playable characters, which is quite a lot of playable characters for a game that is not a beat-em-up for the era. You'll progress through 40 levels by defeating every enemy on screen or rescuing all of the characters by leading to the exit sign found somewhere on the screen. This game can be found in arcades by allowing 2 to 3 players depending on which cabinet the arcade had purchased. If you check images, actually, the arcade cabinet is actually pretty similar to the like the 2 and 3 player versions of the Hot Rod cabinet. So it might just be like a different board in the same cabinet with different stickers on. It wouldn't surprise me because that would save an awful lot of time and effort for Sega's arcade division. What's interesting is that you don't have access to all 20 characters at the start. You unlock them as you rescue them throughout the levels. Also, when you die, the characters you play as then become a captive to rescue later on. As mentioned, you play through 40 levels, with each 10 levels ending in a boss fight, and each 10 levels being set in a particular time period. The first are set in the Dark Ages, so enemies will consist of archers, knife throwers and swordsmen. The next is the Middle Ages. I'm going to loop my talkback music just in case. The next is the Middle Ages, so you have to contend with men with crossbows and swordsmen with stronger armour. Then you move into pre-revolutionary China, where you have men with bombs and primitive rifles. And then your final level, 10 levels take you into the future, where you face off against men with lasers and high-tech armour. Now to name just a few of the many characters that you can end up playing as, we have Athra, one of the starting characters who throws spears, and the secondary attack throws spears into the air, which allows you to hit characters on higher ground. Next is Mud Puppy, a slow character that wields a weak pistol. However, their special attack is a missile, which will allow you to effectively snipe enemies from across the map, so long as they're on the same level as you are. Lastly, we have Verbal, which appears to be the most useful character in the game, as they use a medium-range longbow, and their special attack is a long-range arrow which can hit enemies on high ground or those hiding behind obstacles. Yeah, that sounds a bit broken. Like, oh, you're hiding, are you? Sucks to be you. There we go. Problem solved. Jamie's saying, gotta love the Commodore 64 days where composers borrowed music from other sources. For example, the theme from Turrican is taken from the original Transformers movie. There is some similarity, yes. Yeah, it was not uncommon for blatant rip-offs to happen. I mean, I talked about the Great Gianna Sisters last week during Chiptune Corner, which is one of the most infamous blatant rip-offs. It's amazing. It's like, how did you get away with this? Spoilers, they didn't. Nintendo were not pleased. Anyway, let's have some music then. From Game Ground on the arcade, we've got Origin Awaken, with the theme of Heroes. And then a request by Electric Boogaloo, which is actually from the System 32, but it doesn't matter because it's a great track. Alien 3 Arcade, Stage 4, The Gun. So I hope you like those, and I'll be back after the music break for Chiptune Corner.
You're listening to Radio Sega, playing the best Sega music 24/7.
And we are back. And I actually messed up the name of this earlier because I am very tired and on strong painkillers, so I kind of tripped over my words a bit. I apologise. The name of the game is actually called Alien 3 The Gun, and the music is actually the Stage 4 music, which is also called The Tunnel. And it was requested by Electric Boogaloo, so I got that bit right. Wow, wow. I'm just so tired. But we'll get there, because it's time for Chiptune Corner now. So I've been watching a few videos about the recently released Sinclair Spectrum Next microcomputer, which is kind of an iteration on the old Sinclair ZX Spectrum, which a lot of people will be very familiar with from their childhood, for if you're British and a similar age to me. It's kind of like the mini consoles, you know, the Mega Mini Drive and the SNES Classic and the SNES Classic and all that sort of business. It's kind of similar to that, but it can run original Spectrum games on which are on cartridge. It works with the original Spectrum peripherals, and it can also run game ROMs on an SD card. The Spectrum Next is brilliant. I have a great deal of respect for the people who worked on this project, because it was another one of those Kickstarter things, but they actually have gone kind of above and beyond. The original case was actually designed by the guy who designed the original ZX Spectrum, who sadly passed away before the project could be completed, which is a bit sad. One of the videos I've been watching showcased one of the games that came with it, which was Warhawk. A classic from the 1980s, which was released on quite a lot of home computers. The Spectrum Next version is quite considerably enhanced, and has an amazing version of the title theme. I couldn't track down a decent copy of that version of the theme, So instead, I went to our friends over at RKO Remix and found another remix, which I think is sort of in the same kind of vein as that one. To me, anyway. Electra Blue is saying they feel like the Spectrum Next is more akin to the analog line of consoles than the retro USB AVS, which also use FPGAs. That's true, because it's not an emulator machine. It actually simulates the original hardware rather than being an emulator, which is why it can run the original games on cassette and so on. But a lot of people are not going to get that subtle difference. But you're right. But it's a subtle difference for a lot of people. But yeah, the Spectrum Next is a great machine. If you're interested in retro gaming devices, and when they actually go on general sale, I'd recommend getting one because they look pretty cool. But going back to the thing I'm actually supposed to be showing you, the Warhawk theme. This is from RKO Remix and by a guy called Dr. Blitzen. This is Warhawk Back to the 80s mix. So let me know what you think of this, and I'll speak to you guys again after the break to sign off and play one last song for you. So enjoy that, and I'll speak to you soon. And we're back. And that was Warhawk Back to the 80s mix by Dr. Blitzen. You can find it on RKR Remix. I've put it on Twitter, but I'll also put the link in the Discord chat for people if they want to go and have a look. Yeah, that was originally composed by Rob Hubbard, who did so much stuff in the 80s. I mean, so very much. And he's the guy who's behind a lot of the symphonic chiptune music that is happening. I've talked about him quite a lot before. Anyway, thank you to everybody who's tuned in today. Thanks again to Rexy for a great lead. Thanks to all the people in the chat. So we've got Electric Boogaloo and Jamie and Nicholas Aman, who I think has just gone to bed because it's very, very late where he is. I'm not sure who else we've got at the moment, but Rexy, if she's still around. Anybody who has been checking out the Twitter posts or hanging out, just listening. Thank you to all of you. The show would not exist without you. Next week I'm going to be talking about online Dreamcast games. And as usual, if you have any ideas for topics that you would like for me to cover, you can contact me on Twitter, where I am at Blazing Skies, or you can reach me through the Radio Sega Discord, where you'll find me. I'm Skyblaze or Skyblaze42, or you can reach me through the Radio Sega Twitter or Facebook pages. I've been Skyblaze, this has been The Hidden Palace here on Radio Sega. I'm going to have one last song to go out on, and that's from the Sonic Mania remix album, which is the Arthur X Medic final boss theme. So yeah, I've been listening to that a lot recently. I think it's great, so I hope you all enjoy that. Electra Booker was saying, I hope there's another System 24 episode down the line. I hope to mention Crackdown and Super Masters. Also talk about unique aspects of the wall, like floppy drives and its medium output resolution. I did say that right at the beginning of the show, but I'm not sure if you were around right at the very start. But yeah, I'll be talking about the Dreamcast later, because I love my Dreamcast. So I hope you tune in for that. It should be back on a Saturday, I think. Maybe. I'm not sure, because I might be going out next Saturday, but we'll find out. So, I've been Skyblaze, this has been The Hidden Palace here on Radio Sega. So, we've got Arthur X Medic, the final boss theme from Sonic Mania. Take care, everybody, and good night.
Enjoyed the show? Check out the full Radio Sega live schedule at radiose.ga/shows. Radio Sega, playing the best Sega music 24/7.